If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. Cleveland Browns fans were met with troubling news out of training camp this week as standout. Cornerback Martin Emerson Jr. suffered what appears to be a serious injury to his left Achilles tendon during a routine practice session. The injury occurred during a 7-1 meal slated 7-on-7 drill when Emerson was matched up against wide receiver Deontay Johnson. Without any contact involved, Emerson went down suddenly, grabbing at his lower leg, a sight that immediately raised concern among teammates, coaches, and fans alike. The cornerback remained on the ground for several moments before trainers attended to him. Eventually, he was carted off the field, his head covered with a towel, a gesture that often signals the gravity of the situation. The team quickly announced that he would undergo an MRI to determine the full extent of the damage, but early signs suggest a significant setback that could dramatically impact not only Emerson's season, but the Browns secondary as a whole moving forward. This non-contact injury raises red flags, especially when involving the Achilles tendon, a notoriously difficult and lengthy recovery area for athletes, particularly those who rely on speed, agility, and rapid directional changes like cornerbacks do. Emerson's role in Cleveland's defensive scheme has been critical, especially as he matured into a reliable presence in the secondary over the last 2 seasons. At just 24 years old, he was entering a pivotal phase of his young career, coming off a solid 2023 campaign where he started 15 games, made 80 tackles, forced a fumble, and even recovered one. That production represented not just consistency, but a growing leadership role on a defense that was beginning to gain recognition across the league. Now, with this injury, both Emerson's development and Cleveland's defensive plans may face unexpected turbulence heading into a season full of high expectations for the Browns and their fiercely loyal fan base. The emotional response from those present at the practice underscores just how well regarded Emerson is within the locker room. Players visibly reacted as he went down, and the solemn tone that settled over the field spoke volumes. This wasn't just about losing a player, it was about potentially losing a key member of the team's fabric. Since being selected in the 3rd round of the 2022 NFL Draft, Emerson has carved out a significant role on the field while also earning the respect of coaches and teammates with his work ethic and competitiveness. In just 50 career games, with 33 starts, Emerson has totaled 202 tackles and 4 interceptions, showcasing his ability to make plays at crucial moments. His size, physicality, and football IQ have made him a rising star, and now, with the threat of a long-term injury looming, the Browns must begin the difficult process of planning for a future that may be missing one of their most promising young defenders. For Cleveland's coaching staff, this injury couldn't come at a more inopportune time. Training camp is where teams solidify schemes, build chemistry, and develop rhythm, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Emerson was expected to play a vital role opposite Denzel Ward, giving the Browns a strong 1-2 punch at cornerback. That could stand toe-to-toe with any receiving core in the league. His absence now forces the coaching staff to pivot quickly, possibly accelerating the development of younger players or even prompting a look into the free agent market to shore up depth at the position. It's also a test of how deep this Browns roster truly is. Injuries are a part of the game, but losing a starting cornerback of Emerson's caliber so early in the preparation phase throws a wrench into the best laid plans and challenges the resilience of the entire defensive unit. Emerson's injury also brings into focus the broader concerns about player safety, particularly when it comes to non-contact injuries on practice fields. These types of incidents continue to raise questions about the surfaces players train on, the intensity of drills, and the physical toll the off-season conditioning programs take on athletes. Achilles injuries have become increasingly common in recent years, especially among skill position players whose performance hinges on explosive movements. For Emerson, who was not involved in a violent collision or an awkward tackle, the tendon simply gave out while doing what he's trained to do: cover a receiver during a standard rep. This kind of injury reinforces the unpredictable nature of the sport and the ever-present risk players take every time they step onto the field, even during practice. As teams and medical staffs review the incident, discussions about how to better prevent such injuries will undoubtedly intensify across the league. While awaiting the results of the MRI, the Browns are likely already considering contingency plans. The hope is that the injury isn't a complete rupture, which would likely sideline Emerson for the entire 2025 season and require an extensive rehabilitation period. Even in the best-case scenario, an Achilles injury is not one that heals quickly, and returning to full game speed is a long, grueling process. The organization will rely heavily on its medical staff and Emerson's personal resolve as they chart a recovery course. Given his age and athleticism, there's optimism about his long-term prospects. But for now, the focus is on understanding the full scope of the damage and beginning the recovery process. Until then, defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz and head coach Kevin Stefanski must recalibrate expectations and prepare the next man up, a phrase that becomes all too real in situations like these. For Emerson himself, the emotional toll could be just as significant as the physical one. A young athlete on the rise, poised for a breakout season, suddenly faced with the uncertainty of a major injury. It's the kind of gut punch that tests a player's mental toughness. His path to the NFL wasn't one of guaranteed success. He had to earn his spot, prove his worth, and claw his way into a starting role. That same grit will now be required in his rehabilitation process. As fans rally around him and messages of support pour in, Emerson must navigate a difficult emotional journey that often accompanies major injuries. It's a solitary road at times, full of doubts and setbacks. But if anyone on this Browns roster has shown the internal drive to overcome obstacles, it's Martin Emerson Jr. This injury, while devastating, could become a defining moment in his career. Not for how it happened, but for how he responds. The timing of this injury is especially painful because of the optimism surrounding the Browns entering this season. With improvements on both sides of the ball, the team was poised to make a serious playoff push, and having a solid, healthy secondary was a major part of that formula. Emerson had become a trusted component in a defense that emphasized physicality and playmaking. His ability to shadow receivers, break on the ball, and make open field tackles made him an asset that is not easily replaced. Now, his absence forces a domino effect. Not just in personnel, but in strategy. Safeties may have to adjust their roles, zone coverages might be leaned on more heavily, and younger cornerbacks will be thrust into difficult matchups against top-tier receivers. It's a stark reminder that in the NFL, depth isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when injuries strike at the heart of your defensive unit. Fans, understandably, are feeling a mix of disappointment and concern. Emerson had quickly become a fan favorite due to his physical style of play and his passion on the field. Many saw him as one of the young cornerstones of the defense, someone who could grow into a Pro Bowl caliber player with time. Seeing him carted off during practice, face hidden behind a towel, was a tough image for the fan base to process. The hope now shifts to the results of his MRI and the potential for a less severe outcome, though all signs seem to point toward a significant injury. Still, Cleveland fans are known for their resilience and loyalty, and that same energy will now be directed towards supporting Emerson in whatever comes next. The Dawg Pound may have lost one of its key defenders for now, but they'll rally behind him every step of the way, waiting for the day he returns stronger than ever. In the grand scheme of an NFL season, injuries like this serve as cruel reminders of how quickly things can change. One moment, a player is executing a simple drill. The next, he's facing months away from the game he loves. For Martin Emerson Jr., the journey ahead will be long and demanding, filled with physical rehab, mental challenges, and the pressure of regaining peak performance. For the Browns, it's a chance to showcase their depth, adaptability, and coaching acumen as they adjust to life without one of their best cornerbacks. And for fans, it's a call to remember that while injuries may sideline players, they don't define them. Emerson's story is far from over. If anything, this could be the chapter that sets the stage for his greatest comeback yet. one that reinforces his status not only as a skilled cornerback, but as a true warrior in the game of football. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Rumors are swirling across the NFL landscape, and the name at the center of it all is none other than Justin Jefferson. Yes, you heard that right. The star wide receiver, formerly the face of the Minnesota Vikings offense, is now being heavily linked with a surprising destination, none other than the Cleveland Browns. While no official statement has been released by either team, insiders close to the situation are buzzing with speculation that a deal is either already done or on the brink of being announced. Social media detectives have pointed out Jefferson's recent activity online, including liking Browns-related content and following a few key players on Cleveland's roster. Coincidence? Maybe. But if you know how these moves typically unfold, this could be the first major hint. NFL fans are on edge, and Browns Nation is already dreaming of what this could mean for their offense. Is this the missing piece? If this move does happen, it would shake up not just the AFC North, but the entire league. The Cleveland Browns have built a strong roster with an elite defense and a promising offense, but they've lacked that true game-changing wide receiver since the days of Josh Gordon at his peak. Adding Justin Jefferson to the mix would immediately elevate their aerial attack to top-tier status. Imagine the combination of Jefferson lining up alongside Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore, with David Njoku pulling defenders away underneath. Opposing defenses would be spread thin, trying to decide who to double team and who to let go. This kind of weapon could also be a make or break opportunity for Deshaun Watson to prove his massive contract was worth the investment. If this trade or signing comes to fruition, it could mean the Browns are going all in for a Super Bowl window that suddenly feels wide open. The whispers started innocently enough. Just a couple of fan tweets and some speculative takes on talk shows. But as of today, those whispers have grown into a full-on rumor storm. Analysts across the sports media world are now openly discussing the possibility of Jefferson in a Browns uniform. The timing makes sense. The Vikings are in a semi-rebuild phase and might not want to commit top dollar to a receiver when they still have major holes elsewhere. Cleveland, on the other hand, has cap flexibility and an aggressive front office that's already proven it's not afraid to make big splashes. Let's not forget their pursuit of Deshaun Watson last year, which shocked the football world. A move like this would be in character for the Browns' current leadership. Andrew Berry has shown time and time again that he's willing to roll the dice, and if that dice roll lands on Justin Jefferson, Browns fans might finally see the offense they've been dreaming of. What makes this rumor even more compelling is the context around Jefferson's situation in Minnesota. Contract negotiations between him and the Vikings have reportedly stalled several times over the past year. While the Vikings publicly maintain that Jefferson is untouchable, sources close to the receiver suggest he may be growing frustrated with the team's direction. A quarterback carousel, inconsistent coaching decisions, and a lack of playoff success have all been factors. If Jefferson is starting to look around the league for a better situation, Cleveland might just tick all the right boxes. A solid offensive line, an elite defense, and a quarterback with something to prove. That's an attractive setup. Plus, the Browns coaching staff is known for creative offensive schemes that could maximize Jefferson's skill set. This wouldn't just be a change of scenery. It could be the move that vaults Jefferson into MVP conversations. There's also a marketing angle here that can't be ignored. Justin Jefferson is more than a wide receiver. He's a brand. He's got endorsements, signature dances, a massive following, and a presence that extends far beyond the gridiron. Moving to a new market could open up even more opportunities, especially if the team is winning. The Browns have one of the most loyal and passionate fan bases in all of sports. A superstar like Jefferson would instantly become the face of the franchise, boosting jersey sales, primetime appearances, and overall media coverage. He'd be front and center in one of the NFL's most compelling underdog stories. A team that's been through decades of disappointment suddenly transforming into a contender. And with Cleveland's blue-collar image and hunger for a winner, Jefferson's flair could provide the perfect contrast. It would be a partnership that's not just beneficial on the field, but off it as well. Of course, nothing is ever guaranteed in the NFL, and fans have learned to be cautious with rumors like this. We've seen plenty of superstar trades teased. That never materialized. But what's different here is the volume and consistency of the chatter. Multiple insiders, verified reporters, and even former players have hinted that something is brewing. The fact that no one from the Browns or Jefferson's camp has denied the reports only adds fuel to the fire. In fact, the silence is deafening. Usually when there's no truth to a rumor, teams are quick to shut it down. The absence of that kind of response is telling. It could mean negotiations are ongoing behind closed doors and both sides are playing it close to the vest. This is how big moves happen in the NFL. Quietly, deliberately, and then suddenly all at once. Let's also talk about the locker room dynamics. If Jefferson does land in Cleveland, how would he fit in? Reports suggest that he has friends on the Browns roster already and that mutual respect exists between him and several key players. Chemistry is crucial in the NFL, and Jefferson has always been known as a team-first guy despite his star power. His energy, confidence, and swagger would blend well with a Browns team that's trying to build a new identity. Tough, explosive, and fearless. Plus, he'd likely be welcomed with open arms by the fan base, who've been starved for a playmaker of his caliber. The locker room could benefit from his leadership and playoff experience, even if he hasn't gone as far as he'd like. For younger players, having someone like Jefferson around could raise the standard. For veterans, it would send a message. The Browns mean business this year. Financially, the move would be tricky, but doable. The Browns have made several cap-adjusting moves in recent months, and they have a reputation for structuring deals creatively. With the right incentives and guarantees, they could make Jefferson one of the highest paid receivers in the game without crippling their long-term flexibility. It's also worth noting that the Browns have draft capital they could use to sweeten the pot if a trade is required. Some sources suggest a package involving a first-round pick and a mid-tier player could get the deal done. Whether it's a trade or a blockbuster signing after a release or holdout, Cleveland is in a position to strike. And if they believe this is their year to make a serious run, it's hard to imagine them passing on a player who could be the difference between a wildcard exit and a Super Bowl appearance. From a strategic standpoint, adding Justin Jefferson would completely change how teams prepare for the Browns. Defensive coordinators would have to account for Jefferson on every snap, likely drawing double coverage and opening up opportunities for the rest of the offense. This would also take pressure off the running game, allowing Nick Chubb, or whoever, lines up in the backfield next season to face fewer stacked boxes. And let's not forget what this means for Deshaun Watson. The pressure on him to perform would increase, but so would his odds of success. With a target like Jefferson, the margin for error gets wider. Quick throws, deep bombs, red zone fades. Jefferson can do it all. Suddenly, the Browns wouldn't just be contenders in the AFC North. They'd be on the short list of legitimate Super Bowl threats. That's the kind of leap this acquisition could bring. As we wait for confirmation, one thing is certain. The NFL landscape could be shifting in a big way. Whether it's finalized tomorrow, next week, or fizzles out altogether, the very idea of Justin Jefferson in a Browns uniform has already sent shockwaves through the league. This kind of move doesn't just change the standings, it changes narratives. The Browns would no longer be the lovable underdogs. They'd be feared, respected, a true power player in the league. And Jefferson, he'd have a fresh chapter. A new city and a new mission. For now, all we have is speculation, some cryptic tweets, and a whole lot of buzz. But as any NFL fan knows, where there's smoke, there's often fire. Keep your eyes on Cleveland. Something big might be coming. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan. Hit subscribe and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!